A man is tired of his wife and decides to eliminate her and bury her in the woods. However, he finds her at home when he gets back, which sends shivers down his spine. This is the main story in this weird but sweet Japanese movie. We will get to view others along the way. In the opening scene, we meet a man named Amon deep in a dark forest. He is here to dispose of his wife's body after purposefully eliminating her. However, the circumstances leading to this situation remain unclear. After wrapping up his business, he drives home to a creepy house in the woods. The house is quite different on the inside, featuring warm decor and an artistic touch. He heads over to the fridge for some milk to recharge his batteries. He is then taken aback when he spots his wife sitting at the dinner table. She doesn't utter a word and only stares at him without moving. He joins her, and after a long stare, he is sure it isn't a hallucination. She then gets up and heads to the kitchen, all this time without uttering a single word. She prepares a feast for him and serves him while she calmly watches him eat. To top it off, he reaches out for his cigarette, but before he can light it, he finds himself flying across the room. It dawns on him that the food was to energize him for the thorough beating ahead of him. His survival instincts kick in as death beckons from a distance. He rushes over to one of their rooms and locks himself up. "Gentlemen, if your lady prepares you a feast, you better start running." The door doesn't keep him safe for long as it comes down with one kick from her. Luckily, he hides a piece of metal that saves the day. He quickly loads her body into his car and sets out to bury it. Not long after he is done, he drives back home. He finds his bathtub water mysteriously running and heads over to turn it off. Suddenly, two hands emerge from the tub and draw him inside, attempting to drown him. It's his wife, who once more made a comeback, but Amon puts up a spirited fight and manages to free himself. This time, he drives away to the city to find a professional hitman to do the job for him. He finally lands in an office where he meets a London hitman alongside his translator. They offer their service for 1,000,000 yen, but Amon finds it expensive. He almost walks away, but they cut him a deal for 10,000 yen. Why would they move from 1,000,000 to 10,000 yen? The movie cuts back to a week before. A lady shows up and offers 1,000,000 yen, asking for a professional hitman from abroad. She then offers a picture of the guy she needs eliminated. The guy is a popular hypnotist who runs a famous show. A few days later, a foreign hitman is sought and sets out to find the hypnotist. He crashes into his show and calls him aside. Not far from them is a man named Kobayashi, who is acting as a bird on stage. He is hypnotized into thinking he is a bird, and he has literally turned into one. The story starts a day before as Kobayashi gets home from work. He is received by his joyful family, especially his little kid named Kiichi, who loves him so much. They are happy when he offers them tickets to a hypnotist show that they had asked him to purchase. The following day, the family breaks into song in their car while they're headed for the show. The show kicks off as the hypnotist leads his dance team on stage. At the very end, he pulls up his contest to mark the show's climax. The contest is a challenge where one walks away with 1,000,000 yen if they aren't hypnotized by him. He chooses Kobayashi for the contest, and his family is happy as they smell money coming their way. He says that Kobayashi will turn into a bird on the count of 3. To everyone's surprise, it works out as he starts behaving like a bird. The scene cuts back to the show as the hitman arrives. He doesn't waste time and finishes him off as instructed in broad daylight. Fearing for her dad's life, Kobayashi's daughter heads over to the dying hypnotist, asking him how to undo it. Sadly, it's too late, as he passes away before he can do it. As Kobayashi's family picks him up, the movie cuts back to the present day as Amon seals off the road. However, He is left in town as he waits for the hitman to do his job just before returning home. Meanwhile, Kichi keeps his dad company despite his state. He brags about him at school, saying he's a superhero and will be flying soon. He regularly accompanies his dad to the field as he attempts to fly. He obviously fails and rolls over, but Kichi follows him to keep him motivated. This melted my heart. Later on, Kobayashi's wife decides to try a medical intervention by taking her husband to a doctor. Sadly, the doctor can't help since the problem isn't medical, prompting her to take him back home. Meanwhile, the hitman reports to Amon that the work is done and he finally sets off for home. He walks into the house with confidence and finds his wife's body lying around. He quickly swings into action and ferries the body for burial. He drives back home, surveys the house, and is happy to find her gone. Convinced he is safe, he heads over for a nap, but his assumptions fizzle out fast when he notices her hanging off the bedroom ceiling. She descends on him and rains heavy blows upon him. Ironically, his alcoholism saves him as he reaches out for his bottle of liquor and uses it to knock her out. This time, he tries something new and segregates her body before setting out to bury the pieces. When he arrives back home, his idea works against him, as his wife reappears with new abilities. She can now dismantle her parts and use them to administer heavy attacks. She sends over one of her arms, which sends Amon flying around. Amon has also mastered his art and somehow knocks her out. This time, he decides to go for cremation. I mean, she won't attack his ashes, right? He heads back home, but she still shows up, this time emitting fire from her mouth, which nearly consumes Amon. Still, Amon does his thing and buries her once more. However, something mysterious happens this time when he gets home. The house has been set up with a Christmas theme, and his wife is dressed up in a costume. He is happy to see her in it, and she reciprocates by smiling back at him. This seems to rekindle their spark as the duo sits by the door watching the stars. Later on, she prepares him food, and the duo spends quality time together. Their tranquility is, however, interrupted by a knock at the door. On checking it out, it's the hitman who has arrived to say goodbye as he plans to go home. He is surprised when he spots Amon's wife alive and kicking, and apologizes for not doing his work to perfection. Amon tries to explain that all is well and he should leave, to no avail. The hitman goes after Amon's wife and finally catches up with her. Amon gets to her too late as she has suffered her fate, and he is torn apart by this. He picks her up and buries her with the hope that she will return. When he gets home, he looks all over but doesn't find her. Left broken, he finally decides to commit the unthinkable, and he jumps off a skyscraper. He almost hits the ground when something appears out of nowhere and swerves past him. It turns out to be Kobayashi, who has finally learned to fly. Kichi must have been the happiest kid by this time. The movie ends as the duo flies over the city, and Amon's mood seems to brighten up. If you enjoyed this movie recap, make sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more of these, subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos.